Hey everybody, how you doing today? Got an interesting story to tell you. This is about something that's happening in Letcher County, Kentucky. Letcher County is a small county by size and by population. There's only a little over 20,000 people in Letcher County. Not a big county. Now, back in 2022, a couple of ladies came forward and said that they had been sexually abused and raped and all kinds of things by a deputy by the name of Ben Fields. Now, Ben Fields not only was a deputy in Letcher County, but he was also the guy that set up ankle monitors. He would put ankle monitors on people that were on house arrest. So he had this thing going on with a few of the ladies, the lady prisoners, and for sexual favors, he would make sure that their ankle monitor didn't work properly or whatever, so they could move around freely. Okay, so since he was a deputy, and they really didn't have a choice in the matter, they either went along with what he said or, they would be hell to pay, so to speak. I mean, he had the power to give them a certain amount of freedom or they would be locked up. So, he was charged with, I think, maybe half a dozen charges, rape-related charges, and he pleaded guilty to this, okay? He didn't contest it. He pleaded guilty. So you would think that he would get a lot of years for this, right? Very serious charges. Well, he didn't. He got a slap on the wrist. They gave him 7 years, but then to make it even worse, they told him he only had to spend 6 months locked up, and the remaining time he would be on probation. Yeah. So he got off with a slap on the wrist, okay? And this happened, I think he actually started serving his time in 2024, so he's out now, okay? But anyway, that was just the build-up to this story, okay? Last year in 2024, the sheriff of that county, Mickey Stines, this guy right here, Mickey Stines, he shot and killed the judge right there, this guy, Kevin Mullins. Yeah, right there in that county. So what's going on? Well, apparently, now this all came out after the judge was killed by the sheriff. And by the way, this killing was on camera, so it's not alleged. We know he did it. I've seen the video a number of times. Maybe you have too. It's been on a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of TV news channels and things like that. But anyway, the judge was killed by the sheriff. It's not a question of who done it. It's just a question of why. Now, the sheriff and the judge and about half a dozen other people had lunch together that day, the day of the killing. And after lunch, they came back to the judge's chambers, and the judge told everybody to leave, that he wanted to talk. The sheriff told everybody to leave. He needed to talk to the judge in private, okay? So they had a conversation, lasted a few minutes. The sheriff scrolled on his phone, and then he called somebody. Allegedly, he called his daughter, his teenage daughter, that didn't answer the phone. So then the sheriff asked the judge for his phone. So the sheriff got the phone of the judge and started scrolling through it and found his daughter's phone number. Yeah. Why was his daughter's phone number on the judge's phone? Good question. So anyway, the sheriff calls that number. Now, allegedly, we don't know for sure that's who he called, but that's allegedly who he called. And anyway, after the phone call, he decides to take things a little further. He got really upset after the phone call. He didn't talk to anybody, but, apparently she answered. So the sheriff stands up, okay? The sheriff stands up, and then he gets his gun. He shoots the judge several times. I think a total of 9 shots were fired. Shot him from different angles just to make sure he was dead, So then the sheriff opens the door, walks out of the judge's chambers, walks down the hall, walks out of the courthouse, walks down the street, then apparently changes his mind. He turns around and comes back. Walks back into the courthouse down the hall where he encountered a few deputies, and he surrendered. So, now what's come out after this is that allegedly the judge for a long time had been getting sexual favors from the female prisoners. It was a racket he had going on. And allegedly, this wasn't even a secret. It had been going on for years. Everybody around town knew it. Some people even referred to the courthouse as a brothel. The judge apparently has had sex with a lot of women in his chambers. And there's even a camera in there, So this has all come out after the fact. So this whole scenario is still going on. The sheriff is pleading not guilty, even though we've seen it happen on camera. So there's a distinction in Kentucky law between murder and manslaughter. If you're convicted of murder, you can get, I think a minimum is 20 years and a maximum is the death penalty. Now, if you're convicted of manslaughter, which can happen if it's proven that you're under extreme emotional distress when you've done the killing. And that sentence will be between 10 and 20 years. So that's what the sheriff's attorneys are working on right there. And after the sheriff confessed, after he surrendered to the judges or to the deputies, he was really, really upset. I mean, he's seen on camera there, we've seen judges or deputies talking to him in the hallway, and the sheriff was really concerned that they were going to do him some kind of harm. He kept saying, "Come on, guys, be fair, be fair here." And he was really concerned. He was afraid it was going to hurt him or maybe kill him. It was also told by several people that the sheriff thought his daughter and wife was going to be kidnapped. And apparently he's really, really paranoid about that. So this is all happening right now in Letcher County, folks. So the sheriff, he's not the sheriff anymore, but he was the sheriff. He's being held in another county. And the trial date hasn't been set yet, so we don't know exactly how this is all going to play out. But either way, it's very interesting. Lots of YouTube videos about it. Now we got one more. So lots of small towns have a lot of corruption going on. What's going on in your county? Do you really know? Do you want to know? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But anyway, what else is going to happen in Letcher County, Kentucky? Follow this case, folks. It's going to get interesting. It's already interesting, but it's going to get more and more interesting. So, Anyway, that's what's going on in Letcher County, Kentucky. Why don't you find out what's going on in your county? Yeah, do some research. You might be surprised. Have a great day.